Okay, hi everybody. Nephew is SIG package management or SIG automation package management subproject meeting, and let's show the board. Share this window. How did the meeting go yesterday? I haven't had a chance to look at any recordings or anything.
So yeah, we discussed a little bit the status, but then Dimitrios presented his approach we started to discuss delegation more to the workload cluster. It was like they presented why they wanted to do something, and I suggested to discuss it as part of SIG 1, right? To see whether whether this is part of R2 or not.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, it was a bit of an open discussion yesterday. So we discussed a few things. Personally, I think there's a few things we have to do, right? Like the IP address itself. Yeah, there is some, because if you scale out a workload, the IPs typically come locally, right? So I think the only thing that we should do in specialization potentially is create a subnet on which the IPs belong, right? But don't allocate the individual IPs.
Right. Okay.
For example, because if you scale out multiple pods, they will get anyhow a different. They have to get a different one, and we should not have a dependency to the management cluster for that.
So then we'll run a IPAM operator as well or something. How do we?
No, so what you?
Oh, well, you give a subnet and then you locally dole them out.
And you delegate it to the cluster. Now, the challenge here is with the multi-networking cap, it would be very easy because you basically, on the network itself, you can basically, there's a local IPAM, so you can basically provision it.
Yeah.
Today, it's a bit, I mean, probably we have to look at how to do it, but and then the NOT itself will not get an IP, but says it's IPAM bound, right? And it gets it from IPAM. So the changes for us are very minimal to do something like that. It's not very difficult. I think the only thing is how do you delegate that subnet towards the workload cluster so that they can act locally. But so that's the thing that we have to sort out. But in the worst case, we can, of course, run a local IPAM instance on the workload cluster, right? And we are done. Because we have that capability to provision the subnet there. So that would be easy. The only thing what we would have to do is add a CNI thing, but I already had a request from 2 people to do so. to create a CNI, because at the end of the day, but okay, we'll have to sort it out. I'm not saying that's the way forward, but that's I think something that makes sense in my view.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go through the board here. We do have a lot more purple over here now, yay. Sandeep, I think I saw you on the call.
Hi, John. Hey. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. So so I raised the MRs in splits in parts. So the framework is framework MR is raised, but it is not merged yet. So if that is merged, then I can start creating the MRs for individual controllers as part of, registered with the controller manager.
Okay, so you need a review on it here.
So MR
we split in different pieces. One of them is already merged, I think, Sandeep, correct?
Yeah, one is merged, and the current one 208 pull request 208.
Okay.
Yeah, I merged that by accident. I'm sorry, everyone. It was the interface one. When I put, I assumed that putting /LGTM just meant looks good to me.
I know.
Yeah.
But I already have two entities, right? Before. Yeah, I already approved as well, by the way.
Yeah.
So /approve is the one you want to use that we can have as many as we want. /LGTM is the instruction to merge it. I don't think that's necessarily great terminology, but we're just borrowing what Kubernetes does. And so.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, it's just so slash approve. So that means sort of looks. Yeah, it means this looks fine from my point of view, but other people need to
I know that's what it's. That's what it's.
So suggestion is to use /approve instead of /LGTM if you don't want to merge.
Yeah, /LGTM should be the last thing done. Only one person does that. So /approve is what you use unless you want to merge it. Merging it is /LGTM. I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but that's how it is.
Might be no harm just to push that out to the community. Maybe we'll tell
Yeah, probably next after our one we can see whether.
Okay, but this one was, you had already approved it.
Yeah.
So
I think it was fine anyway. It was only really the the interface. So
okay,
208, John. It's 208.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll review that then today.
Yeah.
All right, let's move back to the board.
So once that is merged, I will create the subsequent PR with the reconcilers also registered with the controller.
Yeah. The ones that I did with the token one are already updated in the PR that is open, so it's already
once this
aligned with that.
Okay, cool.
No, we don't need to wait for 208 to do that merge, because I think there is 3 components. I think there is the interface that is merged, right? So which is basically what all the controllers or the reconcilers have to implement, as well as the operator, right? That's merged. So now I think 208 is what Sandeep did, is the operator in that uses that interface. So now you have an operator, right? And then what we still have to do is all the individual reconcilers, we have to do an update. So what I was saying is that the token one that is still open, I already updated it to align with that, right? So because it was still open. But then there is others, like the specializers have to be updated as well to fit the framework. And those have to still be done. But yeah, it's not a lot of work, but it's just, we have to go in that sequence because of all the GoMod dependencies. Otherwise, Brow will never merge, or you'll never get to the test framework. And I think it's a good practice anyhow to split it up. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's try and get those things merged. I'll try and review those. We'll try and get them merged in today and tomorrow, and so that'll be we'll make good progress. Okay. So this is actually done.
Just one question, John, on that when we are on the single topic. So 202, was that deliberately closed, Sandeep?
Yeah. So yesterday I did not have that easy CLA thing. And I could have done that /easy CLA again to get it. I did not know it, so I just closed it and recreated that PR when I registered with CLA. That was the only reason. I mean, it's the same code in PR. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, this one so that one, the UI view emerged, and I have a build out there, and I will update the Nephia web UI package to point to that. I've got updates to that. I don't have an issue for that. I should probably create one. I guess it's kind of part of that. I believe Ganesh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but Ganesh, I think is this one done too? The package variant set viewer is done too, right? That was done in the same PR.
Yes, that's right, John. Yes, we can both can be marked as done. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. I did notice a few little bugs, but we'll raise those separately. But at least we have them there now, and we've got a start. It's great that your team's now has the flow. It's awesome. Okay, so then going back to the top of the board, installer for enough. Do we have any discussion here that we need to have? I guess getting back to what's the sort of standard Scrum things of what are you working on? And we're not going around person to person. We're going through the board, but still, what are the blockers? is there anything you need from anybody here for like this installer one? And do we have an ETA or anything? I don't see Victor, but I don't know, Vish, if you want to discuss.
I think there's one PR that is, I think Vish and Ravi, I think, was asked. I approved that one for Victor. So there is some scripts that he did on that one. It's in, I think, in test infra. I think it's probably the PR as far as I understand.
That's right at the top. Maybe it must have merged.
Is it the PR 35?
It's merged now. Okay. Or is it end-to-end testing? One of the two. Is there a separate repo for that? I forgot.
Okay, looks like
Field test. Testing. No. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Yeah, then it's merged. Maybe there was some Ansible file. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was something that merged. I don't know. These are Rado merged. This is one of Victor's.
about a minute ago. I think there was one merge.
Okay, that's not the one, I think.
I was looking at that one earlier on. There wasn't much Ansible stuff in it. Maybe there is now.
I think he's in the creation of Bootstrap.
I know it's that one. Yeah, this one, the one you were just pointing at, creation of Bootstrap
35.
Ansible role.
Yeah,
Yes,
got one.
35. That was the one.
Oh, 2 minutes,
2 minutes ago. Okay.
The order is
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what does that mean with respect to that issue? I mean, are we? How close are we? Or what do I? Tell me what to do here. Do we?
So okay, at the moment I'm personally testing the whole thing myself, John. Right. So
Okay.
the one thing that we still have to, one of the points that I wanted to bring up today's call is, I mean, we had the discussion on the DNS thing. You remember, right?
Yeah.
So somehow we need to provide access to the management cluster from the other cluster because of conflict, right? If we run Gitea there, so I've been starting to experiment with MetalLB.
Okay. So we
because we have to
expose. Yeah. So we have two choices. One is we can use a service load balancer, or we can use an external IP and just hack it. So there's an external IP. You could just if the node. Well, don't we? If the right now we're already. I thought we said it already works because it's on the Docker bridge.
No, so wait a minute. So at the moment, all my tests so far has been with the management cluster itself, right? So I can get access to it. What I've not tested yet is getting access from a kind cluster we spin up to that management cluster, because there is no external, there's no IP exposed from there. So what did I do yesterday is I created so MetalLB basically is a very low weight or lightweight load balancer. So you're basically just giving the IP of the Docker bridge. So I basically split up the subnet into pieces and I gave it an IP, and that worked for me. I just wanted to see if this is the way forward or not, because I just started to experiment by myself, so I don't know whether anyone had done something or had worked on this space.
Wayne, I did a similar process that you did, and yeah, I'm in favor of MetalLB.
Okay, but then I can share the script that I used because it's very easy actually.
Okay.
Then
so that means
we could.
Sorry, just trying to keep it. So what we're saying is our standard Kubernetes practice would be that if Gitea is running in this cluster and we want the workload clusters to be able to access it, we create a service, load balancer service, and we can serve it externally then. And we're saying we're gonna just follow that practice. And in order to do that and have our test framework and our sandbox environment work, we need to use MetalLB. When I'm running it, I run my cluster actually in GKE, my management cluster. So I could just spin up that, and well, I may not use Getia, but if I'm using Getia locally there, then I can spin that up and I can get everything to work still, because I just have to now be able to take that load balancer IP and patch it into the config sync, root sync on the workload cluster. Is that right?
See, ideally, what I would love to have done is we have to set up a DNS infrastructure that leverages that IP, right? Then we all do it via DNS, and we on IP. The only thing what we have to do is in the DNS refer to that IP, and then all the rest just use DNS names, and that's it.
So if we have more than one service, then we can do that. You still have to do this bootstrapping at the IP level for the DNS itself, but we can.
For sure, yes, yeah.
So we can run we can add the external. The simplest thing to do. If we're using load balancer services, there's a plugin for Core DNS that will expose those on a zone, and then we can configure the workload cluster DNSs to point to the management, to that DNS instance running in the management cluster as an upstream for that zone.
Yeah.
And then, but that means we still need to plumb the Core DNS instances on the workload clusters with, with that configuration.
Mm-hmm. But would that would allow us to, then the only thing we are depending upon is the DNS infrastructure that has to be set up, right? And I believe, okay, there's various ways to do that, right? And we can just select one for now. Because
right, that's what I'm saying. That would be the DNS infrastructure. Yeah, would be.
Yes, yeah.
So in okay, we can take that offline if we want to go that path. That's fine. It's just a little more work, and so right now, as far as I know, there's only one service, which is the Getia, which we need to access that way, and we need to do it because we're running the Getia in the management cluster, as opposed to using a different Git provider. So that's where I'm like, what strictly speaking, it shouldn't be necessary to do all that. So that's kind of part of our test infrastructure setup, as opposed in our sandbox setup, as opposed to part of Core Nephew installation. Core Nephew installation doesn't need that per se. I know right now our cluster infrastructure management is, I believe, assuming. Are we assuming Getia right now? That's all we're supporting, or are we going to support other like GitHub or anything? In your token controller, right, was for Git right now, and your repo controller was for Git, and that's fine. And we could that's all we need to demonstrate the principle. I'm just trying to understand the framework.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to do the others, right? To be honest. The only thing what we have to discuss a little bit the approach on how we do that, right? Because maybe after we are done with R1, or once R1 is out of the door,
we talked about this. Let's post R1.
Yeah, let's then see how we can make it generic. And I don't think it's a lot of work, but I would like discuss a few options. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then okay. So if everybody feels that there's capacity to do that, let's keep working on that. I don't know if we want to create additional issues like around the DNS side, around the metal LB side, and around whether we have to do anything more for workload cluster to management cluster networking, or we just rely on the Docker bridge because it's all in one machine right now. It might be helpful as you work on those things to create issues, is what I'm saying, so that we can track them here. But
yeah. So Victor, is it okay that so I'll send my metal LB stuff that I did to you so far, right? So we can have a look, right? And then we have to create a metal LB package, right? Out of it, right? That's what we should do. And then the DNS. Okay, I don't know, because tomorrow actually I have a day off. So the problem is tomorrow I cannot work on it.
Yeah, I can take a look and I can add the changes to start testing that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Awesome. I think I saw this is out there. Yeah, okay, you've got a link. So that just needs review. This one we said
submitted. Yeah,
we're going to wait on this one until we're a little further along. Liam.
Yeah, I'm kind of made a start on this, but I'm still have to not fully clear on what needs to be done here. I have to admit.
Right.
So I mean, you know, the upload packages, where are they, and what's the downstreams? Yeah, the relationships in between the package variant set. What will they generate package variants then that are included in this package, or how does that work? Or am I completely confused here?
I think this is right. It's hard to split this task out, I think, from the stuff that
I had kind of a mad idea here, and I probably regret volunteering for this, but I thought maybe a how Nephio works kind of document, or not architecture, but more of a what all the moving parts are. You know, like I know Vim did did some diagrams there, but I was thinking maybe doing something like that, so that, you know, where does Gitea fit in, where does Porch fit in, where does Config Sync fit in, what's happening in each state.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. If you want, if that might be a place to start, like, because like I think this particular issue you volunteer for, it's kind of hard because it's sort of like so dependent and coupled with the work that Wim's doing that it's kind of hard to split out to one separate person.
Yeah,
so
but it's good. It's good for me too, though, because I have to learn the thing to do this. Yeah, but I don't want to hold the thing up either now. So,
well, why don't we do this? How about you take the action to take sort of what you've learned out of that process and try to document it, and then we can iterate on that document to, like, you know, and then maybe
when you get to the point then where this needs to be done, or if you know,
well, I think we'll assign this to Wim right now because it's kind of inherent to what he's working on, and then but like I think your suggestion's good. Like let's try to document it. You know, when you're building something, you have it in your head, and sometimes it's hard to communicate. So having somebody else try to, like,
that's precisely the point. It might be what seems obvious to someone who's in the middle of building something, maybe isn't so obvious to somebody who's kind of outside looking in. Yeah.
Exactly, and then so it can be super helpful in that communication to kind of go through that process.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Right.
Then this one I think just needs review. Well, did we just merge this?
The bootstrap is merged, but there is another one. The token is not merged, but I think I addressed everything, and I also rebased. So I think the token should also be ready.
Yeah, token. Yeah, I merged the bootstrap yesterday because I seen one approval there from John, and then I did so the token. I think there was some comments from John. Are they all taken care of him?
Yes. Yeah. And see, the main open point was that there were some Nokia I had some IPAM things, but the bootstrap one had merged or had all these methods in it. So I have updated the token one to refer to the bootstrap method. So all of these dependencies now are all local to Nephio. So there is no other dependency.
That was, I think,
plus I think for the Git, that was the main open issue. Yeah. And then I did a small, I did one more update 1 or 2 hours ago to align with what Sandeep is doing, right? So I aligned that. And then what I also did is, and that I still have to test, but so what I learned through the process when we were doing this package variant, this secret with Porch, so my issues, so they all have to do with the token. So what you see is in Gitea, in Git, there is, so you can only create an access token and no scopes. And so there is a latest version of Git that allows you to set it. And I believe that's the one that we need to make that access token writable in Git, right? And I imported that library. So they now have a.
Git didn't allow writable access tokens before or something?
So the latest Go SDK does not have any way to configure access rights on a token. So you get a token and you can create a token and that's it. But so the UI of Git has that option. And what I saw in the SDK, the main SDK has it, but the official tagged one has not. So I now also included that. So I'll still need to test it, but I already updated it to include it. If that doesn't work, we have to fall back to to maybe username password or something like that. But yeah, so these are the 3 things that I changed from last night.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll review. It looks like I've got a few reviews to do, and then a bunch of these will resolve. And is Stephen here? Where's my list?
Don't see him here.
Okay, I'll sync up with him, but I'm pretty concerned we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen a PR there yet, so I'm not sure what's happening. But I think worst case we ship with just package variants and vector variant set, and so I think Ganesh. So I've been thinking about the UI. Ganesh, do you have a second? So there's a few things. Let me. I can actually show. Oh, wrong machine. I have to. I'm gonna join the meeting. Crap. I have to minimize all these things that people shouldn't see. Just a second. All right. Stop sharing that. So, sorry, I'm moving off the board now. I think we're basically done with it. I wanted to discuss a little bit about, do you have an idea of what the capacity of the UI team is you're seeing the UI now? So here's an instance of the UI I have. I've registered a whole bunch of repositories to it. There's no actual clusters behind these, by the way. So it's really kind of just for exercising the management cluster side of things. But I think there's some things that could be pretty useful. So as we go and we talk about, like right now, I can go in, like we could make this more navigable for one, but if I go in and open up one of these, you'll see there's the package. Oops, that's the wrong. This is the output. Oh, so I didn't do it as a package. So here we have, I think this is where like you had your examples.
Yeah.
So the viewer should be running in here. Yeah, so like target 1, target 2. So this is a viewer in package resource. So right, I'm looking at a particular package. I can look at that resource. Now the thing is, when I apply this package to the management cluster, I can do that, and I end up with, a package variant set running in the cluster. And it would be great to be able to go and have go into, I don't know if we need a different tab here. We talked about the idea of there being a different tab here for Nephew specific stuff. This would still be, if we stick with package variant set, it doesn't need to be in a different tab, but it might be nice to have like something that shows us like, even another tab here that says something like, package variant sets or package variants, or I don't know how we want to, or deployed. Yeah. In the workshop, we had something called a button here that said deploy packages across clusters, right? And manage 5G topologies. And then you went to it and it showed you a screen. I don't unfortunately have an old version of the UI up and running, but you could sort of see things that was actually not reading from packages, but it was reading from the cluster directly and saying, hey, here's a, we can say, here's the package variant sets that are actually deployed in your cluster. And then you could see, oh, if you click on one of those, you can say, oh, here's the package variant set. Here's a header with some information about it. And then underneath, there's a list of all the package variants that came out of that package variant set, which you could then drill in, right? So you could kind of navigate this tree structure. We have a tree structure where you have a package variant set. It generates a list of package variants, and each of those package variants generates package revisions. And so that sort of tree structure, you could navigate through the UI. So I don't know if it's an R1 thing, and it all depends on the capacity you have, but like that's the kind of thing I think we should sit down and maybe I'll throw together a document or something and we can have a separate meeting, or we can do it in one of these meetings and kind of go through the ideas and see what the UI team or you and your team think about that, and anybody else. But like right now, we've only created a few little tasks, which is the in-package variant set and package variant viewers, and then the editors. So the editors come in, I guess that's, the editors do come in here. So when I go here and let's say I have another one here that's a task, PBS example. You can see there's a package variant set here. And I might have some tweaks on some of the formatting, but we'll just treat those as separate tickets. But this one looks pretty good. So then I'm gonna clone this, and I'm gonna deploy it directly to the management cluster. And so once I do this, that's all great, but I can't actually see the results of that. I can see the package is here. I can propose it. Kind of slow. I can approve it. And so what's happening now is it should be within a few minutes, this resource will show up in my management cluster, but I don't have any way to see it with the UI. So I then have to go down to the CLI and say, do this. And well, that one's from 12 hours ago. So that's a different one, but it's going to have the same name. So pretend that one came from the package I just did. I guess it'll probably apply on top of it. But then I can say get package variants. You'll see these are the package variants that were generated by that. So I'd love to be able to navigate this tree in the UI.
Revisions, okay.
Are we okay? All right. And then these are the package revisions that were created by it, right? So I'd like to be able to navigate that tree. But then on top of that, we should see now these. That's them, I think. So we can kind of see them as the package revisions as they appear in here, but I can't. I can't see that they came from that package variant set. And then the editor thing. So that's the bigger picture. But if you look at the current open issues, would be editors around. So now when I have a package variant set in a package, I'd love to be able to say, okay, I screwed something up. Let's just go back here. I remember why that happened. I have like some name conflict or something, but in here, crap. All right, let's do that. I don't know. Are you following what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, John, I follow up. I am able to follow the tree structure that you're telling, but I think like you suggested, we have to first document it and then like try to see where we want this on the GUI. I do understand from the backend side, like how we can refer to each other and like how we can create this tree. But from the GUI perspective, I think we definitely need to sit together to see how we could make it more, beneficial for the GUI.
Okay.
Right? That's something I can follow.
So that's the, sorry, I'm cutting you off. Just trying to not take too much time. The tree structure, that's a bigger thing. The next tasks on the list were editors for in-package variant and in-package variant set. So what I'm showing on the screen right now is a package that I've cloned that includes a package variant set. And then I click the edit button and you get an editor. So if you look at these, like that doesn't have an editor, so it just shows the YAML. But for config map, it has an editor, so you see a nice editor here, and I can go and do this. So so right now, if I click on this, I'm going to see the YAML. So I can edit it, right? I can go and edit it with YAML, but it would sure be nice to have that, that real UI experience of being able to edit it this way. And so like here, one of the things in package, I would start with package variant because it's simpler than package variant set, but would be, and we're going to potentially use it later in our thing. So like, well, anyway, that's a different topic. So number 184, issue 184 would be to create a nice editor panel like this for the package variant resource. And so one of the things in there is a pipeline. We already have an editor for that, so that you should be able to use directly. So that one might be a good place to start. So now, what I was trying to show you with all of this talking was this is the panel we're talking about, and we can go through and show you how to create a package that you can edit like that. Maybe anyway. I'll stop there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, John. I think I understand the editor because previously when we had our meeting with Chris, so he already showed us this editor page and how this is needed. So I think the editor is a currently work in progress. So we'll post the screenshot soon. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. All right.
Yes,
You're already ahead of me. Okay. Cool. Well, then, is there anything else? So you're working on this one. So should I put that in this sprint, or what do you want to? Oh, I guess it's already marked as in progress.
I thought package variant is already in progress. Package variant editor is already in progress. I already moved it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. Never mind. I'm just behind the ball here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other topics, or shall we wrap it up today?
Yeah, as we were talking, John, just one thing. I just saw when we were looking at the merged PRs and stuff like that, I saw the latest merge where the LGTM behaviors changed. Then I spoke to Victor and Rado over the Slack channel on the chat when you were having the meeting. Looks like the behavior is slightly changed now. The way I understand, at least, Victor is here. It's good. He can keep me honest or correct me here.
Yes.
So at this point of time, if you just do a LGTM, if there is no approval, it will not merge the code at this point of time. So as it stands, LGTM will not stand as an approval. So you need to have two explicit approval and then an LGTM to merge the code.
So that's a great, that's good. That's useful. You should still use, so /approve is subject to the owner's file. So basically, like, there's certain people in the owner's file. Those are the people with authority to approve. And we can, over time, like if Bala, you own some particular subsystem, you can have an owner's file in the directory for that subsystem, and you can then approve anything in there. So the LGTM, though, so we can say we need 2 approvals. You might need 10 approvals, because if you touch files in 10 different subsystems and those have 10 different owners, you might need approvals from all those different people. I think there's, so then the LGTM is sort of a separate, like saying, okay, everything's ready to go. And so go ahead. It tells, Proud basically says, I need approvals. I guess to state it really simply, Proud says, I need an owner of every file that's changed to have approved that change. And I need an LGTM from anybody in any contributor. And so that's the logic that Proud is using. So I still think I guess if you do an LGTM, what you're saying is, once this has all the approvals of owners, then you can go ahead and merge it. So if you're not in the owners file, then it's probably fine to do an LGTM anytime you want.
I'm not sure, because if the way, so Victor, it was actually a PR by Victor and merged by Rado.
So I don't know, like what I noticed is like I didn't have any ownership in the files. So previously, whenever that I do LGTM, the patch can merge like without any approval at all. Like so I noticed that was default behavior in Pro. So that I just include like that you have to have that approve comment in order to get.
So. I agree with that change. Yes. I think probably what was happening is that we also had it set up, and I think it must be the default in Pro, where when somebody who is in the owner file submits a PR, it's automatically approved since they're the author. And so
that is disabled, John. That is disabled now.
That is disabled now, right? So, but so what probably happened, Victor, is somebody submitted a PR that was the owner, that was in the owner's file, and then you LGTM'd it, and so it's considered it was considered approved already, and so it merged. That's my guess. So it looked like your LGTM just approved it, but actually was already approved because the owner automatically was marked as approved as the author. But now we have it so that if an owner submits a PR, it's not approved until they say /approve, I believe. But you can't LGTM your own things. You can approve them, but not LGTM them.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe we have. I mean, I wasn't expecting to approve that change soon. So probably we can review it later, and maybe if that is necessary, we can revert back that particular change. So
I think that change is fine. I think the guidance still should be, though, generally use /approve unless you expect your comment to merge it. I think should still be the guidance.
Yeah, and also like I would like to see more people like doing LGTM, but without that like a fast forward like process like what we were seeing before. Like I mean, just give it some exclusivity for approvals. Like I don't know, like.
So basically, you are looking for more reviews. Is that your intention?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that was only to me, like, but every time that I was just doing LGTM to any PR, yeah, that was just approved without any additional like
It got merged.
yeah. So I mean, for me, it's a whole difference. Like LGTM is more like a thumbs up, or like, but
I
approve is
know the terminology is bad. I agree, but we're a little bit stuck with it. Like,
Yeah, I think
so-
we will. The way I thinking about it, John, is probably we will know with this change when we merge next PR, we will know exact behavior. Today, or maybe I think obviously we are planning to do at least I'm planning to do a couple of every day I review a few PRs. So pretty sure today, John, you also had some action items to review a few PRs, right? So we will know exact behavior today with this
Yeah, good point.
merged,
Yeah.
what is changed.
All right,
try
well,
and error.
let's watch it and see if we want to change it. But right now, I think it's set up. Like the question is, do we want to come up with our own way to do it, or do we're following the way Kubernetes does it? So
Yeah, we
people
want to
can-
follow what Kubernetes does it, unless we are deviating too much. I mean, that's what I think, because I used to follow what OpenStack does. OpenStack, you can actually have +1s. You can have as many number of +1s as you want. But 2 + 2s from the core reviewers was the one that was actually going to merge. You needed 2 + 2s.
I know,
So,
and
yeah.
that makes more sense to me, but that's for some reason not how it's done in Kubernetes. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm just only looking for an equivalent of it. We have to subscribe to the
And was
value
it using
system and the
was it using Gerrit?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember using Gerrit using those kind of conventions. I don't think GitHub does that convention.
I mean, we were just looking for equivalent. That's all. In a sense, that's all it is. Because
yeah,
even core reviewers, even if you're the owner, John could actually go look at it. He will give his +1, but he looks for a bunch of +1s before he does a +2. He can go back later and make a +2, and two
Yeah,
owners
they-
have to do the
Cloud
+2.
doesn't do that. Yeah.
So-
Cloud doesn't do
So
that.
that's the equivalent, right? We have the equivalent. Our approve is +1. Approve does not merge. Any number of approves does not merge unless there's
no. But I guess like LGTM is +1 and approve is +2. I mean, if we try to make that analogy between
That's not how it is though. That's not how PROW works.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah, it's closer to the other way around. It's closer to approve is +1, but you have to get +1s from all the right people, and then LGTM is +2.
And LGTM can be from anyone, as I found out here today.
And LGTM can be from anyone. It's not.
No,
that's right.
actually, Liam, just to
It's aren't as good as what we did back in OpenStack, but like unless we want to, but this is
Yeah, that's
what
fine.
right. We're following the way Kubernetes does it.
Once we know what they mean, it's fine. I think.
Yeah.
to be honest, Liam, I think what you did was absolutely correct because it already had an approval from Vim. Vim had already.
Yeah, I approved it. I approved
Yeah.
it. So I don't think if I would have not approved it, it would not have been merged, I think.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
No,
So
I was just actually taking a look at it and just saying that this looks sensible to me is all I meant to say. So.
Yeah, I know. I sometimes use LGTM without the slash to do exactly that. Or you can literally do a +1. The other thing to note is that the LGTM, if somebody pushes new commits, the LGTM will be removed, but the /approves will not. So the assumption here is there's an assumption of trust that once you have an approve, you're not going to make such dramatic changes. It's going to be small things like, tweak this here, fix that CI failure, and the LGTM is a check on that. But the approval, I think the thinking was, and I don't know, but I suspect the thinking was the /approve is there's people who might be like, they're like those core reviewers and they might be really busy reviewing lots of different PRs. Once they give their approval, it's approved. And if there are minor issues that need to be sorted out, the LGTM done by a trusted person, because they have to be in the contributor in order to do it, is sufficient. So I think that's the philosophy behind it.
So at some point of time, can we actually have like in one of the SIG automation or the release meetings where we have more people in attendance and who are reviewing, at least to walk through. I mean,
It's a good
today I
idea.
came to know about this. Yeah, at least a 5-minute thing. I mean, we can work with
Yeah.
somebody, come up with a matrix or something and say, if you do this, this is what's going to happen, some
Yeah, that's a good
education.
idea. Why don't can you put that on the agenda for the SIG automation meeting, and we'll try and get to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my goal still, I mean, in the sense, I want our community to grow. I want our community to be seen as very friendly to any newbies who can contribute
Absolutely.
code. And we want to encourage folks reviewing PRs. And I mean, all they do is probably they go pull the PR, they run a test on their dev environment, they start getting familiar. That is how they'll actually become more familiar, is what I believe. That is at least I want to advocate that. I want to influence you guys also.
I think Vish, we're going to want, maybe it's going to be post R1, but we're going to want like a contributor guide that says, hey, you want to make a change, or you want to review a change. Here's how you do it, for management cluster items. Here's how you do it for workload cluster items. Here's how you do for the UI, right? Like, and kind of have guides for how people can first do what you just said, pull a PR and try it in their environment, and second, actually, make changes. There's quite a bit of work to do there to like document all that and
I mean, we can ask those newbies to do that too. We can seed the document initially and then do that, right? So that's the way to do it. Get them, because more people feel accomplished when they see that. I mean, in OpenStack, if you remember, you have Stackalytics. So it was actually capturing somebody's contribution. I mean, I can tell you this: the first 3 months, all I was doing was pulling PRs and doing +1s after I understood. In some cases, I did not understand. I used to ask questions. I did not contribute anything material. You see, it takes time to come up to speed. So we want to make sure that we are accommodating that. That's all. That is my.
So on that like, this is not really a topic for this meeting, but there's something, the CNCF has something called DevStack, or not DevStack, sorry.
I mean, OpenStack is
something called DevStats, DevStats, which is like Stackalytics, right? So DevStats is, if you go to devstats.cncf.io, I think it is, you'll see a bazillion things. Now, we don't get that for free, but I do have but it is all open source, of course. And so you can, here, I can share.
Well, if we want this kind of metrics, I think that we can use a Vitergia cloud solution. So
yeah, what I'm saying is we can do it however, whatever we think is the right way to do it. CNCF does this. I think Tal had suggested some other ones that Linux Foundation has. So like in this one, you can drill into Kubernetes, and then you can see in this Grafana dashboard all sorts of stuff, right?
Oh, I see.
And right, so these are all broken down. These are the individuals. This is broken down by company. This is how many PRs people have opened, and like, right? It's ridiculous. But so we can run an instance of this if we want to, or we can do a different means of doing it. But this all is based on GitHub statistics, and they've got a whole process for how they pull those down and all of that stuff. So anyway,
that's a part of time. Yes, we just slowly try to evolve ourselves. I mean, the goal is just to make it very easy for anybody to come in, contribute to Nefio, and how easy do we make it? That's the thing. I think everybody has got that intention. I want to try to see how we can actually try to make that happen. How we can demonstrate that. Hey, look, you can join Nefio. It's an easy one where you can contribute. You'll feel accomplished. That's the way I think. Maybe I am thinking I'm dreaming, but basically.
That's right.
I hope we get
John,
there.
I think what you alluded to was probably we need a developer guide. We have in this particular release, we have plans for user guide and install guide. But what you're alluding is mostly we'll need a developer guide, which we'll do in the R2 timeframe.
Yeah, that
Just
I did.
post R1.
So yeah, Victor, I would ask SIG release to figure out that tooling. So whatever. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I got distracted